go. Take that bubble this way. Okay. Okay, now that you've got your bathtub in position, you can see it fits nice and tight. This tub was a 5-foot tub. I framed the washroom walls exactly 5 feet wide. You want to level the back edge of the tub, which you can see I'm doing pretty good there. Checking these sides as well. And then you can proceed with marking the drain hole down onto the concrete floor so that you can set up your drain assembly. Okay, now that you've got your tub leveled, you're going to grab a felt pen, put it down into your hole, and mark where that drain hits on your floor. Also, you're going to want to take a measurement off your studding to center of this, which is also center of that, just so that you can build your assembly, make sure it's all in the right positioning. So I've got 15 inches. This clean out or overflow hole is the same line as the drain hole. So just to double check everything, I'm going to find out what the measurement is to center of those holes. I'm going to put my tape on the exterior stud, put my square on the center of the hole, and we've got a 15-inch center for this bathtub. Okay, now that you've got your bathtub removed, you've got your drain hole marked, you've got the old drain cut off, you need to proceed with marking down some measurements so that you can make up the drain assembly. I like to use centers with plumbing, so I'm going to hold it center of this pipe to center of this drain, and I've got 7 1/4. Again, that 15-inch mark that we had will help us when we glue our assembly in. We're going to make sure that that overflow is right there. To figure out the height of the overflow drain, I need to actually measure off the tub. But for now, this is the measurement I need here. And then I'm just going to get a total height measurement to the overflow of the bathtub. So with the bathtub sitting flat on the concrete floor, you can put your tape measure on the ground and find the center of this hole, which is 14.5 inches. Okay, so I've got to my center of my clean out, or to my overflow, I've got 14.5 inches. Now this pipe over here is below the concrete, so I've got to get a measurement in here. 3 1/8. Plus 14. Yep. Okay, this is a diagram detail showing the bathtub overflow going down the drain and the bathtub drain going down the drain. Now, that pipe that I was measuring from center to center, we came up with 7 1/8. Now from center to concrete floor, we had 14.5. And my plumbing pipe is below the surface, the one I've got to connect into, 3 1/8. So with these measurements, I can build this assembly to fit the bathtub and the existing drain that I've got. Okay, here's the final drain assembly for the bathtub, the overflow and the bathtub drain. I used my original drawing and measurements. So the one from the overflow to the concrete was 14.5. The other measurement I used was 3 1/8 to the drain that was in the ground, making 17 5/8. When I measure from center of the overflow to the bottom of the drain, I am getting 17 5/8. The second measurement, which was from center of existing drain pipe to center of the bathtub drain, was 7 1/8. I put that on the center there, and I am getting 7 1/8 for the center of the drain. This is dry fit, which is what I recommend to do with any ABS piping. So I can proceed with taking all my parts apart, setting them aside to get ready to glue. When you are cutting ABS pipe, this is an extra piece that I've got. Nice way to do it is just with a standard hacksaw. Nice firm table. Get your measurement on. Use your finger there just to guide it in. And there's not really any rush with it. The slower and more time you spend in keeping the blade straight through the piping, the straighter your cut's going to be. So with using a hacksaw, you do get these little burrs of plastic all the way around. I just recommend just rubbing it off with your hand. You could use a metal file or whatever you'd like, but you definitely want it clean and free of debris. So when you're gluing, it's a nice tight fit joint, no debris inside there. All right, so now that you've checked your measurements, you've got your pieces all cut, I'm gonna use some ABS cement to glue the assembly together. One thing I like to do is glue the pipe and the fitting. So I usually start at the fitting so it's not dripping everywhere, and it's inside, couple loops around, make sure you got it all in there, on the pipe. Now this stuff does take a little while to dry, so you got some time. Now, when you're putting these pieces together, you can just push them together, but it's a lot easier to do it in like a spinning motion. And there you go. Now, hold it level. Just wipe off your extra glue. Keeps it looking clean. And that's your first pipe. It's very important to keep these in line with each other. Again, clean off the extra. Just double checking for line. That's all nice. And for the final piece. All right, that's finished, glued, final assembly. Okay, now that you've got your final assembly all glued together, I suggest just a dry fit into your drain. Make sure you're hitting on top of your circle originally, and double check off your studding that you've got that 15-inch to center. that's the same as your bathtub, which I do. Can measure down to the drain as well, 15-inch to center. So I'm ready to glue it in. All right, and that's all ready to go. We'll probably let this dry for a day, just so the glue is all cured, and then we'll set our bathtub on top of it next time around. Okay, so after letting your plumbing pipe sit for the day to cure, I've dropped the bathtub back into position. You can see I've got my overflow lining up nice. It's got a rubber seal on it, so the idea with that is to put your overflow cover on. Start these screws. Start the screws. Reach in from behind. Make sure you're pressing that flange, the rubber flange seal, nice and tight against the bathtub, and finish off with tightening these down. Don't over tighten the first one, just come back to it after you get the other one to the same setup. It is quite important to put the pressure on the back so that you know that that rubber seal hasn't moved. Again, if you don't have access to behind your tub, you could bank a mirror in this cavity in here to double check that you've got a nice seal in there. Make sure there's no leaks happening. So I'll tighten that one. I'll come back to this one. Tighten that one. Back to there one more time. And there. Okay, so that's our overflow finished off and ready to go. Next is the drain chrome assembly. That is a threaded piece that'll go into the threaded ABS pipe that's down below. This does require a seal in this area. You don't have to Teflon tape or do anything in here because the water is just passing down through and going on. It's not pressurized. So what I like to use is just some plumber's putty. It's got the consistency of Play-Doh almost. So you rip a chunk out, roll it up into a tube, keep it about 3/8 thick. You're going to set that around the drain. Make sure you got your joint nice and tight. Definitely don't get any of that into the female threading of the ABS pipe. It'll just cause you problems in fitting this in. You can hand tighten this till you get down to the bottom. Once you get down to the bottom to do the last tightening, I use some needle nose pliers. I go into here, and that just aids you in spinning the last bit to get it on nice and tight. Now with threading, if you see that that's not going in easy, you're not locking into the threads correctly. So just gotta take your time until you get it going fairly easy. There we go. So now you can see that I can spin it and that's in. If you're getting more resistance than that, you are cross threading and you're wrecking your threads, and you won't achieve the nice tight fit. Okay, so that's about all I can tighten it by hand. Now, as I crank this down, that plumber's putty is going to ooze out of the sides. Very easy to clean up. You can pick most of it off with your finger and then give it a nice wipe, and that's all good. There we go. See it all coming out. It's also going in underneath the drain as well, so you know that is definitely getting a tight seal. And don't want to over tighten it, but you definitely want to tighten. Okay, and again, just a nice cleanup of that. And if you have not got debris on it, I got debris all over this one, you could reuse it. For me, I mean, I'll just use the other stuff again. Let's clean that up a little bit. And give it one last check. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's the drain. Now that we've got our bathtub in position, drain hooked up, I want to do some final leveling and permanently attach it to the wall. When I'm through with that, I will fill the bathtub up with water, making it weigh down a little bit, and I will use some foam in a can to spray underneath the bathtub to kind of glue it down to the floor as well, so it's got a nice solid uniform base throughout. To do that, I get a drill bit, the size just over the size of the diameter of the screw, so that I'm not actually using the screw to thread into the bathtub. It's simply slipping through, but not letting the head through to attach it. Now that you've got your holes drilled into each of these studs, you can set up with your level again. Find out what you're shooting here. Now my level is saying that this side's a little bit higher than this side, so I'm going to proceed with trying to get this side to go down a little bit and then make smaller adjustments over here. You don't really want to lift the tub up too high if you don't have to. Gonna get a screw ready. Okay, that's as low as it's gonna go on this side. So I'm gonna fasten it. Don't fasten these too tight or you might crack the tub flange. Now I got that side to go as low as possible. You always start with screwing your lowest side because if you screw your high side, you're not going to be able to go lower on that side because it'll hit the floor. So again, it's always do your low side, and we can see here that I've got to go up a little bit. So lift that bathtub. See how that's perfect right there? What I'm going to do, because it's tricky to level and try to get the screw, I'm going to get it right level. Which is right there. And I'm going to put a pencil line. Okay. Now with that pencil line, I don't have to re-level, I just can position it up into the pencil line and then just do a double check. There we go. Just give her a little bit more. Now again, that was the nice thing about screws is if you are out, you can definitely readjust by backing the screw out. And we are sitting perfect. Okay, after leveling this back edge of the tub, next is the two sides. It's very important to get your bathtub as level as you can. When you do your tile work or you're finishing around here, it will definitely show if you don't have it very close. So I can see here by lifting the level up that I'm about a 1/4 inch low on the front edge of the tub. What I'm going to do is get some cardboard, lift up this front edge, get it in there, a little bit higher. All right, see that? And looking good. So now I'm ready to put these final screws into the front. One. After you finish the two edges, you just got one more to go. Set my level on there. And, oh, we got lucky. That one's sitting really good as it is. So I'm just going to put a final screw in it. All right. Now, bathtub is quite fastened to the walls, not able to move. What I don't like about it at this point is that it's pretty hollow underneath it, and we've kind of lifted it off a little bit. So I'm gonna proceed with filling the bathtub with some water so it'll give it some weight. I'm gonna come in on the one end of the bathtub and spray some foam underneath, and we should be done for today. Okay, we've filled the bathtub up with water to test the overflow, test the drain for any leaks. As well as that, it's pressing down with gravity of the water that's in there. I'm going to use some foam in a can, spray it underneath the bathtub, central location, to give it some support so that it doesn't make a thumping kind of docking sound when you get in there, and it just overall supports it better. For you viewers at home that are doing renovation and say this wall has got drywall on it and you can't get access, you are done with just testing your stuff and making sure it's all good. If you do have the opportunity to get behind here, or you can cut an access inside a closet to get there, I do recommend this as part of the installation. So got my can of foam all shook up. I'm gonna reach my arm in there and start spraying. Okay, now that we've got our bathtub all fastened in, leveled up, drain all done, I like to fill it up with water, test the drain for leaks by reaching in behind in here. You can feel all around just to see if you got any water around the edges of that. As well as test the overflow, so fill it up right to the top. You can feel all the way around the edges in there just to make sure that there's no water seeping out through there. And this one all looks good. And final step would be to let the plunger go and just make sure everything's draining nice and that you're happy with everything. What you're looking for in this situation is a nice, speedy drain process. This is all looking pretty good.